good engage roamer on your team, such as Grace. I know in this situation has been banned out, but even Catherine works with it, and it's just quite hard to beat.
Definitely, we do see a Baptiste being picked out for the side of Infamous. Just so looking at the drop coming up from Infamous, I reckon because both carries, or rather both heroes picked up for the side of Infamous, they are very good flex pick. You can play Baptiste as a roam or a crystal carry, and as with Castrol as well, not for the roam part, but more of, say, the weapon carry and then a crystal carry. Of course, in response to that, we do see Brenchong picking up that glaive. I'm not surprised if Sync 1 would settle for that Sky, but then again, there is always, you know, the hindsight that Baptiste is there as well, just so to counter that of Sky. So I don't think Sync 1 would fall back on the Sky, like we've been seeing quite a lot from him.
Is that Samuel lock in to finish off the team on the side of Brenchong, as we have that Idris Glaive Samuel combo, and of course most likely going to be that flex pick for the Glaive being a roam now, and it's quite a strong team comp coming out there, except I'm not too sure yet how I feel in terms of roam Glaive. It works in cases that, of course, if you've got good synergy and everything, but it's just such a one-trick kind of thing where Glaive goes in with the afterburn and you really have to make the plays off that. But in response, on the side of Infamous, we see they're going to lock in that Catherine to finish off their comp. They're not going to go for the Roam Baptiste this time. I think they might put that Kestrel in lane on a weapon power, which we know is still able to put out immense damage if built right. And in a lot of situations, if you go for the early game, just go damage, and then really don't worry about your defense till late. It can sometimes just carry you through.
Yep, and there's one more thing that we must note is that Glaive, as a hero, he is pretty strong. I mean, he is really bursty and has got some sort of sustain in his kit as well, in terms of his ultimate. Problem with Glaive, putting Glaive in roam is, like you said, he is very one trick. He goes in, he needs to secure a very good afterburn. If it's blocked out, then the engage coming out from the side of Brenchong will be jeopardized at the end of the day. So whether or not, and it's really just down to how they are going to play their team comp, at least for the side of Infamous, or rather for the side of Brenchong, because they look like they've got a very solid early game, and of course they have got the Idris for the late game as well. But as compared to the side of Impunity, where they have got a Castrol, we can put on so much early game pressure, and not forgetting that Baptiste is a constant threat as well, especially picking a Glaive into that of Baptiste. I'm not sure. I personally think that the side of Brenchong might have a hard time, especially into a Catherine and that of Glaive.
I agree with you there. Brenchong's lineup, as long as they're able to get the ganks off and get that early game advantage, I think that'll help them out a lot. But in this kind of situation here, I would have to put my money on Infamous's draft that they've done.
Yep, I mean, they have very good siege potential, and of course, burst potential coming up from Castrol, and of course, Baptiste on that shatter into Clockwork. There is one thing we cannot forget, is that the gang potential coming out from the side, of Glaive is just insane as well. And of course, the early game poke that Samuel has, if Samuel hits level 2, is just a lot of damage that's going to be coming out from the Malice and Verdict that's empowered within that of Drifting Dark. Anyways, we are jumping straight into the Halcyon Fold at this point in time. So I'll hand it over to our very awesome casters, Asarai and Mini. Take it away.
Thank you for that introduction, Mini. So hey guys, it's me Asarai, and here with me now is.
Hello, Asarai. This is going to be very exciting to watch. Looking forward to seeing if Lima on this glaive is going to gank the Kestrel in lane as much as he needs to, because if this Kestrel is allowed to farm up and Idris, then Idris is going to be in an absolutely terrible position and pretty much going to be unable to cope against the Kestrel one. And that's what Idris needs to do. His job in this game really is going to be dive on Kestrel, kill her, and dive, and then hope that Sync 1 can out-sustain against the team. There's the afterburn.
Yeah.
Gets away.
It's going to be the case here as Litmar actually gets caught out just by a smidgen. Uni will be going there. A little bit of response from the Batiste, and like you said, they're going to try to at least keep this Kestrel away from the Idris for as long as possible, so, you know, this Idris doesn't go too hard as he tries to curve into the mid game, into that late game.
Definitely. I think Limer's going to stay in lane, but so will SNK. I highly doubt SNK will spend much time at all with Batiste in the jungle. Looking to the first rotation because Johnny's quite a level 2. There's the ult.
And here we go, another clash onto Spaghetti, but he'll get away. Active camo, of course, a little bit of safety there for the Kestrel. Gonna say, no way, Jose. So we start a little bit action heavy here as Brenchong try to prove a little bit of their worth. I think it looks a bit against Infamous.
When you've got a glaive, even as captain, generally you see it when you've got a weapon glaive in the jungle, really wants to afterburn for the damage, but even just to afterburn Spaghetti on top of Mr. Jim, then he's going to just be in a fantastic position because Idris, all his abilities except from his shotgun, he used to dive on top of the enemy, and so if the enemy's just put right in front of you, you can use your Shroud Step to get to, if they try and get away.
Oh, there's another drive here by Limr. Can they get the target? After Barry connect onto SNK, Limr very low, and that's going to be the first blood taken here by our very own SNK using that Caitlyn. And here we go, Catherine. Uni gonna be trying to jump in, shows out the bad mojo. Mr. Jim has to back off a little bit. Mr. Jim, though, takes quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, Infamous porting home, managing to get the first kill and not trade over any of their own team, which is really smart. They managed to catch out Limau. He got a couple of good afterburns, but the one that got him killed, he punted back the Catherine, couldn't quite get the Kestrel when Spaghetti was almost dead. And it's just a good turnaround. Uni rotated up ever so slightly before Sync 1 did on Samuel and was actually a higher level. And Uni is still a higher level than Samuel, and now he's just hit level 4, they are even. So there's not a lot of jungle being taken by either side. No one's ahead in the jungle because no one's invaded. All the focus has been and will continue to be on this lane to see if Spaghetti can out CS Mr. Jim, as he currently is doing. Spaghetti has 33 CS and Mr. Jim will probably be even once he gets this minion. So Spaghetti's doing well, he doesn't need to be ahead, and neither does Batiste. Samuel's really going to be quite good in the early game, his level 2 is going in.
He's going to try to go in, and actually he doesn't get away. Uni gets taken down. That's going to be a 1-for-1 for Brenchong.
It will. Samuel taking the Elder Treant, and Uni tried to contest it, as you generally do. You don't want to give away that mid-treant just for free without giving it any contests. Obviously, if you steal it, then they can't really engage. And with jungle stop spawning shortly after, Batiste probably thought he could steal that and then shop and then fight properly 1v1. But then Mr. Jim and Limau both rotated down just to make sure that even though Uni was probably a bit stronger than Sync 1 at that point, Sync 1 got his entire team to rotate down. And so when you're 3v1, you're not gonna win that fight, even as Batiste.
You think once the clash or the team fight happens, who do you think has a better advantage here once you hit those level 6 marks? Once you get those ultimates up and running.
At level 6, I'd say it has to be Infamous, because the Fearsome Shade is fantastic against the dive from Mr. Jim, and the Blast Tremor from Catherine is far more impactful than the ultimate from Glaive. When Glaive hits level 6, it pretty much does nothing. When Idris hits level 6, it is extremely useful, but the one shot from Kestrel will pretty much negate that usefulness. There's actually a Minion Candy and Infusion from
SNK connects the stun. There's gonna be at least the Ordain. The damage onto Sync 1. He got to back away just by a bit there. This is a Samuel, so he does have a little bit of that regeneration, but it's gonna be a 3-man push in the lane. Infamous looking to actually take this turret down, and look at the damage from Spaghetti, just 2 shots, and it's already, towers can't bleed, but, he can make them. Limr diving a bit too much, and he will almost get punished, though. The Fearsome Shade, he'll still back away into the safety of his own tower. Sync 1 from the sidelines, jumping in the Malice and Verdict, pushing out SNK, and Infamous have to back away, but they did quite a bit of harassment there into the lane, and look at that turret, just a little bit more, and it should break even. My goodness.
Definitely a good push comp from Infamous. When you've got that Kestrel, weapon or crystal, Kestrel could just take turrets down so quickly, and there's not much you can do, especially on someone like Idris, who has reasonably good farm clear, but only when he's standing on top of the minions. When he's pushed back and forced to be away from his turret as he is now. That turret's going to fall. Nothing that Brenchong can do. Spaghetti's got free reign. And yeah, first turret is expected to go to Infamous. Mr. Jim's not going to be able to push anywhere near as well as a Kestrel will. But I think that's not too bad. Brenchong will be okay that they've lost their first turret, but they'll probably work quite hard to try and not lose the second turret. Because that's really important for Samuel to keep his farm, that he has that second turret to back off to. Because if that second turret is taken, then Uni pretty much has free reign to try and take Crystal Sentry charges. Because if Samuel tries to fight around the Sentry and the Sentry does die, Samuel will have to back all the way to the choke point turret if that second turret does fall. So Brenchong, they're going to rotate out.
Very not good. Merciless Pursuit connecting onto the Samuel Sync one. Gotta back off just by a smidgen. Fearsome Shake to follow up. One shot, one kill, gets a kill. And that's going to be a transition into the Gold Miner as well. So Infamous, well, you said it. They wanted to go, they don't want to allow Infamous to go for that second turret, but they kind of capitalized and punishes Brenchong's, I think, mispositioned there.
Yeah, it was a good rotation from Limau and Mr. Jim. They went up to the lane the long way, but Samuel tried to go and face check. Not face check, but walk past the Moustache Bush that he had. And obviously all of Infamous were just waiting for him. Got the stun from Catherine, which just meant Uni, so Spaghetti could get 2 or 3 glimmer shots on top of Sync 1, and at that point you just have to back off. It's Weapon Power Kestrel with an infusion that's just now run out. It was a good timing from Infamous on their infusions. Sync 1 has bought one, but he did die in the team fight because both Uni and Spaghetti were infused for that team fight. So they took the advantage, and they've got a turret and a gold mine off a couple of infusions, which is more than worth it. Kestrel with Swordblade, Tyrants, and a Minion's Foot is going to be a monster in this team fight. Obviously, Mr. Jim has got 2 items as well, but Spaghetti's that cost a lot more, and they're going to do a lot more damage. So Brenchong needs to be careful.
Yeah, as long as they can't spot out Spaghetti, they shouldn't be able to win this team fight. Mr. Jim has to back off, as it looks like there's so much AoE coming in that blast, or rather, actually, no blast tremor just yet. There's the Ordained from Uni, and the one-shot, one-kill, able to push back Brenchong for the meantime, as Infamous looking to push onto the lane. Mr. Jim and Lim are, though, looking for the flank maneuvers. There's going to be the afterburner. He's going massive SNK, kind of caught out here. The damage, will it be enough? No, they're pushing them back. Perfect usage of that Fearsome Shade, and they back away, fade away from the bad mojo. Oh, almost taking down Limauer, but still no kills just yet. This is a very messy team fight. Nobody getting the shutdowns, and for the meantime, looks like Brenchong will be able to get a little bit of damage onto this turret. But here comes SNK, has the fearless or merciless pursuit, and he is chasing Mr. Jim. Throws at the chakram, and well, both teams live to fight for another day.
Yeah, they do. Brenchong tried to push the return turret to get the first turret away from Infamous, but Spaghetti took the minions so incredibly quickly, there was just nothing that Brenchong could do. They had the drifting dark forward, they had Mr. Jim on top of the turret with it on Idris, but there was just nothing they could do because the minions had already died to Kestrel. And that means that Infamous can siege turrets, and they can also stop their own turrets being pushed if the team fight isn't won by Brenchong, as we saw both teams. That Uni did 600 damage on an empowered Bad Mojo against Mr. Jim, so that forced him to back off and a fountain. Mr. Jim wants to go in lost.
Another fight. Stun connecting from the Catherine, but they just back away. Stormguard will keep him a little bit healthy. One shot, one kill will connect onto Sync 1. Interestingly enough, they didn't hit onto Limar, but there's a nice wave here. They can actually go aggressive under the turret, but will they do so? Gets the pushback onto the Catherine, very low, gets the hero shutdown. 3-man Fearsome Shade, but that's not going to be enough here for Infamous to actually get the damage they need to get the one shutdown. But hold that thought, 3-man Ordained. Uni might get caught out here. Ooh, the Oblivion from the Samuel will actually keep him at bay as Brenchong slowly but surely gets 2 kills, looks for a third, and can they get the ace? Yes, they will! And that's going to give them the heal as well as the turret, so what a momentum shaker here from Brenchong.
Good turnaround for Brenchong. The gold is now even, and SNK is going to try and stop this turret. Is he going to be able to do it? I reckon he's just going to, yeah, there aren't any minions. There are minions now.
Shall not pass.
They're not going to do it, SNK knows. Managing to stop that second turret falling, important for Infamous. Now the gold lead is... They did have a good gold lead, now it's nothing. There is literally 100 gold lead for Infamous, which is now 0 again. So that ace from Brenchong, definitely the momentum shift, as you said, but it's not in their favour as opposed to just being away from Infamous's favour. So Infamous were ahead, and now Brenchong are even. So they need to take another
Limar, though.
fight.
What are you doing, man? The
Limar.
face track into your death. Will it be? Nah, he's alive. He got some tanking.
He'll say he used the flare on the scout jet, but he didn't flare out the bush. All of them are still waiting. But Glaive with the afterburn away, you can afterburn through the ordained stun, and pretty much he'll get away, even if he won't have the afterburn up. They're going to sneak a gold mine. There's a flare. Uni has got an ultimate, so has Spaghetti.
They will get the steal. Ooh, dirty Spaghetti. That's so dirty. Uni's going to go in. Frontline for Infamous for the meantime, as Brenchong will exit that gold miner with, well, their smiles are actually upside down, so it's actually a frown now.
Definitely, they're not. You obviously want to try and body block the one-shot, one-kill coming up from Kestrel.
Yeah, for sure.
You generally expect Kestrel to be standing on her side of the map, maybe around her spawn, and you try and block from there. But as they saw where the flare came from Blade, so everyone from Brenchong moved up to the top of the gold mine to try and stop the one-shot from Kestrel. But Kestrel just stood where they weren't expecting and just split them apart. You got the one-shot in the middle, and Brenchong's going to go in.
Yeah, that's just the veteran, or the pedigree of Spaghetti as a long-standing player here in Vainglory, showing his moxie. Still, though, they gotta be careful, because I think this is the time where Idris is starting to, start ramping up.
Yeah, definitely. If Mr. Jim can get on top of Spaghetti, as happened in the team fight that Brenchong won, then it'll be pretty easy for him to kill Spaghetti. He's only got a reflex block, got the Sword Blade double tyrant, so that's a lot of damage on Spaghetti. I'd expect to see maybe a tornado trigger or attention bows most likely to finish off that builder from Spaghetti. But I think that even with all that damage, if Mr. Jim gets on top of Kestrel, Limar puts a flare down so that Kestrel can go visible and Idris will still see him. Hold that thought, they're going to fight.
Hold that thought, indeed. Limar takes quite a bit of chip damage here. Bad mojo fade away, but nobody wanting to really push themselves forward because Infamous doesn't really have that luxury, I think, right now. But I think they're just trying to be a bit safe, and they will just get some items and then back off.
Yeah, Glaive got very low trying to get the perfect afterburn onto Spaghetti. He's done quite a few afterburns so far that have been pushing Spaghetti away, so he doesn't want to do that. He wants to make sure that he either gets Spaghetti back or Uni back, but whatever he does, he doesn't push Spaghetti away. And I think with Kestrel picking up that Aegis, it's likely that Mr. Jim might not just burst it down immediately, as I was saying before, because Spaghetti's got that defense, especially on Samuel, and even Aegis gives you weapon power defense as well. That means Spaghetti has a chance to survive the initial burst from Idris, maybe get a fountain from Catherine, and then be able to turn it around and kill Idris after he's dived in and has no more abilities to survive, because there'll be an Atlas already on Catherine, there'll be one on Uni quite soon, I suspect. And once Idris gets Atlas, obviously after that initial dive, he'll have no damage compared to Kestrel. And even if Kestrel gets Atlas, Kestrel's still got Glimmer Shot, so you can do just as much damage. Is he going to get another gold mine, one shot, one kill steal?
No Blast Tremor steal for you. It's going to be the Idris for the last shot. SNK will be using the Storm Guard for the meantime. Sync 1 going to be diving in. Oh, he takes quite a bit of damage, but no! The Afterburner actually going to be able to take down a Catherine. And they follow up onto Batiste. Can Uni actually get away from this one as Spaghetti from the sidelines wants to go for it? Can he go for the 1v1 against Mr. Jim? No, that's an Idris, man. You cannot deal it. And Uni, the last man to actually fall for Infamous. And that's going to be... What the hell just happened there? Minnie, what happened there? That was weird.
Brenchong don't know what to do. The gold mine's just been taken, so they don't want to take that. They're hoping that these minions will push the turret by themselves. It should just about work, and they're going to try and solo the Kraken. I think the Brenchong will get it. But what happened there, mainly, was Sync 1 managed to block the Ordained from Uni, did that extremely well, and then the Crucible from Limauer came out on the Fearsome Shade from Batiste. So the two main CCs that Batiste has both got blocked superbly in that fight. And then once, if Batiste can't push Mr. Jim away from Kestrel, then Idris is going to be able to dive that Kestrel really easily. Obviously, there's a Catherine stun, but once that's out the way, then Mr. Jim has free reign to dive on top of Kestrel, and he will kill him, as you saw. And then once you're trying to fight a sustained battle between a Batiste and a Samuel, they both have sustain. Samuel's got the E, Batiste has him. Samuel's going to win that sustained battle, and so Brenchong won that fight.
True enough, there's gonna be the Ordain connecting onto Mr. Jim. Maybe Infamous here is looking for at least a little bit of the punish, but the Kraken has arrived and he's gonna be starting to crack onto this turret. But look at Limar, fearless, going into the backline, looking for some aggression here. But he might have bit off a bit more than he can chew because he gets immediately blown up by Infamous. And Mr. Jim chased down by Spaghetti. Spaghetti, can he capitalize? He looks at Sync 1 as he is the man in his sight. But they gotta back away. They gotta look at the Kraken, still 3-4 onto their health, and look at what Brenchong are doing. They're trying to capitalize as well as punish Infamous here as they go a little bit too aggressive to push out Brenchong while at the same time trying to deal with this Kraken. And I think they're not doing the best at that perspective, because right now this Kraken has already broken down one vein turret and looking for the second one as well. SNK, he is just a Catherine, he needs help. Where is Uni? Where's Spaghetti? There they are. But this might leave that vein exposed. Oh, it's gonna be close. Oh, it's gonna be that. Oh no. Woo.
Even though Brenchong gave up the ace, I want to say that was extremely well played by Sync 1 and Mr. Jim. They were just there. They weren't really doing much damage. Obviously, Mr. Jim tried to dive onto Uni and get the kill, but the Ordained landed just before Mr. Jim used his Shroud Step to dive on top of Uni. So that means Idris died, and Samuel tried to run away, but he died as well. They gave up the ace, but the Kraken got the 2 Vein Crystal turrets, and that was all they wanted. I don't think that Brenchong were even trying to win the fight. They just wanted to bait Kestrel, bait Batiste away from Kraken, and stop them taking it. So extremely well played. There was a backdoor potential from Idris and from Glaive. Obviously, Idris can do the wall jump, maybe 1 out of every 10 times. But more importantly, he can use his ultimate to go inside Glaive when Glaive after runs over the wall, and that's a lot easier to do. And then they could just take the vein.
Man, Infamous. I don't know if they can. I feel like they have to go for an ace, or at least wait for Brenchong. Yeah, they're very defensive.
They have got vision in their jungle because of the Crystal Sentry, which is probably going to be taken down by Brenchong, and I don't think there won't be any fight from Infamous. That leaves much less vision in the jungle than Infamous want. Catherine's going to have to buy some scout traps to make sure they don't half run over the wall, or they're just going to stand and wait for it. Infamous are really afraid of this backdoor from Brenchong. Brenchong don't know where Infamous are. They could just try and check the Kraken, but they want to back off and not fight yet as well. I think I agree with you. Infamous needs to take a fight. They need to see, okay, we've got all 3 members here. We're going to fight them, and we're going to try and get the ace, push a couple of turrets, and get a Kraken. But they're just deciding to wait, and that's a free Kraken going over to Brenchong. I'm pretty sure that Catherine will know about it. No, she's going to port home. I'm pretty sure Infamous, they either know and don't want to fight, or they just have no clue the Kraken's just been taken.
Hang on. My Spectre is having a little bit of issues, so yeah.
That's fine. I can keep talking for a bit. Let me know if you get back in and can see the game. Infamous are going to go a bit aggressive. They now realise they need to fight or try and take this Kraken. So one's going to go in. There's the best Super Catherine, and the Storm Guard being used. Going to stun on to Samuel. There is no Crystal Sentry. Mr. Jim's going to go for the back door. I don't think Infamous have seen where he is. Again, he's going to try and port home, but he's not going to be allowed. He's going to get the stun. No, he's actually not. He's going to try and do damage to the squad. Batiste is able to port home. Kestrel's going to fall. Will not be able to stop Idris, and that was a bait from Mr. Jim. He just tried to do the back door to leave a 2v1 against Kestrel, and now it's just Uni left alone to try and stop SNK alone to try and stop this Kraken, and no, there's no chance.
Nah, there's no chance, yeah. So that's it. The 4-man push actually makes a 3-man with a pet, the Kraken for Brenchong. And my goodness, Infamous got beat on that first game hard. Wow.
Yeah, it was extremely well played by Brenchong. They got that last team fight it looked scrappy, but I'm pretty sure it went almost exactly as Brenchong intended. They managed to use Idris